Hey, sickos, I'm LJ,
And I'm Toe.
and this is
Say psycho right now.
Say Psycho Right Now is a true crime and paranormal podcast. Some content may be considered disturbing or graphic. This podcast also contains adult language. Listener discretion is advised.
To access our socials or become a Patreon member with access to early episodes and bonus content, find us on any social media platform and consult the link tree in our bio, or go to www.patreon.com/saypsycho right now.
You can also follow us on our socials or wherever you stream your podcasts and leave a 5-star review if you're enjoying our content so we can continue to reach more people. This is a great free way to support your favorite content creators. Case suggestions or stories to share can also be sent to saypsychorightnow@gmail.com.
Now let's get into today's episode.
Yay!
Hello, sickos. Welcome back to the shit show.
Welcome back, welcome back. I'm sure that you guys are tired of hearing my big mouth. So this week we bring to you a story prepared by Toe.
By me. Yay. Okay. So today's story is, oh guys, it's a gnarly one. It's foul. But you know, that's what we do here. This is Spook City. This is
She do be
this
loving foul shit.
I do. You guys know I love a particularly gruesome case. I don't love it. It's just like,
She just gets hyper fixated because she's like, I need to know everything about this.
yeah, I need
Why
to
did
know
this
everything
happen?
about him. And also, I just feel like, not to toot my own content creator horn, right? There's a lot of really great true crime creators out there. But I feel like a lot of people, when they cover these gruesome cases, they're like too worried about trying to be polite and, like, they leave certain things out, right? And it's like, call a fucking spade a spade,
Right.
you
No, and I
know?
get that like some people specifically seek out creators that maybe don't go into as much detail,
Oh yeah,
etc.
for sure, for sure. Like, those
Hmm.
creators definitely have their space in the place, but that's not
Oh,
us.
fact. Exactly. And that's just what I'm getting at is like, that's a valid thing to seek out if that's what you want, but also like not it. We just
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
not what
aren't
we
that
do
way.
here.
Yeah.
So there's your half-ass trigger warning. This case is gross. Um, so today we're covering the story of Lacey Fletcher. Now, this story is going to have three key players. We have Lacey Fletcher, who is our victim in this case, and then we have her parents, Sheila and Clay Fletcher. So, Sheila Fletcher worked as an assistant to the city prosecutor in Zachary, Louisiana. She was well known and liked in her community and was heavily involved in community events. Clay worked for a nonprofit organization called Baton Rouge Civil War Roundtable. They were overall a seemingly typical and stable family, and people in the community considered them a respectable couple and pillars of their community. Now, with this case, there's a lot of mixed information as well as some speculation involved. So, I'm going to do my best to present facts as accurately as possible here.
Sure.
Now, Lacey was autistic and she didn't receive this diagnosis until the age of 16. And I think that's important, right? Because that speaks to potentially the level of disability that we're talking about here, right? We all know that
Right.
autism is a spectrum, right? And when you hear how Lacey died, I think naturally one of the first questions that's going to come pop into people's mind is what was her cognitive ability, right?
Right.
So
And I
I
know that, like, from like, social standpoint, right? We've
yeah,
kind of, like, thrown out the terms high functioning and low functioning
sure.
because, like, I personally have qualities of somebody on the spectrum. My therapist has said, like, you definitely have ADHD. There might be some, autism components going on in there too, but the testing is very expensive and it's often missed in young girls, right?
Sure.
And it sounds like her level of functioning was somewhere along those lines where it's like it's certainly disruptive, like I'm sure that it's
Yeah.
going to cause her her own struggles, but we're not talking about somebody with obvious, like, massive developmental delays who, needs assistance doing basic tasks like using the restroom or has major mobility concerns that would have been addressed earlier,
Yeah.
not nonverbal, things like that, right?
Correct. Yes. And thank you. That's exactly what we're getting
For
at here.
sure.
Because I think when we hear she was autistic and then we hear the way she died, it might create a misinterpretation. So the last description we have of who Lacey was as a person comes from her high school peers, and they say that she struggled quite a bit with social anxiety and had a difficult time interacting with her peers and making connections.
Girl, same.
They described her as being very intelligent but a bit immature and not really into the same things as kids her age. For example, they said she had a particular interest in all things Disney, and just like generally her interests seem to be a little juvenile
Why
for
is
like a
this
16
mean
year old.
now? I'm like, do you
Yeah.
want to see my mouse ear collection? No?
Well, and I feel like when you're an adult, right? Like you just don't give a fuck anymore. But I can see where a 16-year-old
Sure.
might be bullied for like being super hyper fixated on like the Little Mermaid or
Oh,
something. You know what I mean?
10,000%. That's why Lexi, like my best friend since the dawn of time, has been my best friend since the dawn of time. And I don't think it's coincidental that Lexi's known to have done a lot of hands on work with the autistic community and stuff like that. She's just like always been a ride or die. But like for real, these things, like as an adult,
Hmm.
I feel like you care less, it
Yeah.
might still be a little like awkward, but as a teen, oh my gosh, it's like
It's
social
rough.
suicide to talk about your your mouse
Yeah.
ear collection,
Yeah, because you're like judged for every single thing. And like as an adult, and I think too, there's something to be said for our generation of adults that has resources like the internet, okay, where we can do things like what we did and meet a stranger on the internet that flies to your house one time and creates a 5-year friendship and a
Oh,
whole entire
100%.
business.
Like, you're also hyper fixated on Taylor Swift, true crime, and, theme parks? Great. Let's live up each
Yeah,
other's buttholes at an inappropriate social level. Sign me up.
exactly. Yeah, and I think like, you know, because of getting older and more mature and giving less fucks, and also you know nowadays having access to things like the internet, that we create these little niche groups, right? We have more access to people that like kind of match our weird, so to speak, right? But yeah, so she was described as struggling a lot with social anxiety and peer-to-peer interaction, although she was said to be incredibly intelligent. Now, again, she experienced a lot of bullying, and this, along with the social anxiety she was experiencing and her newfound autism diagnosis, ultimately resulted in her parents removing her from school and homeschooling her instead. Now, I'm sure we're all thinking, oh, wow, what great, dedicated, and loving parents doing what's best for their daughter, right? Yeah, I'm sure that's what everybody was thinking. But I don't know, you guys. This case is wild. So, at the time of her death, Lacey was 36 years old and lived at home with her parents. Now, over a decade prior to her death, Lacey sort of disappeared, and not in the typical sense like we see so often in the true crime world. She didn't actually go missing, but people just sort of stopped seeing her like out and about.
Right.
Um Lacey was in her early 20s at this time, and neighbors naturally assumed that she had simply moved out of her parents' home. They figured maybe she had gotten married, gone on and just started a life of her own. Now, Sheila and Clay went on living their lives as normal, being involved in the community just like before. The only difference was that they never allowed anyone else into their home. And soon everyone would find out exactly why that was. On January 3rd, 2022, Sheila Fletcher called 911 to report that her daughter was not breathing.
Oh my
Dispatch
God.
sent police and EMS to the home, and what they found upon arrival was beyond horrific. Guys, this is the part where it gets gross. So if you are like, you know, not good with gross stuff, maybe skip like a minute or
Right.
two. The coroner that responded to the scene described a stench so bad that you couldn't even hold your breath. He also said that he was unable to eat and cried for a week straight after leaving the scene.
God, and can I
Inside the
just say
home,
that if this is the coroner who, like, this is their literal
yeah.
job, like,
And from
that
my
should
understanding, this was a pretty experienced coroner as well, if I remember
God,
correctly.
how hard.
So like somebody that had been doing this job for a decent amount of years. Inside the home, Lacey was found sitting cross-legged on the couch, emaciated, covered in feces, urine, and maggots. Um, she had been sitting in the same spot for so long that her body had worn all the way through the thick foam padding of the couch cushion, and she had essentially fused with the couch. The floor around the couch had begun to deteriorate due to being exposed to bodily fluids. And according to her autopsy, her official cause of death was listed as acute medical neglect. At the time of her death, Lacey was covered in ulcers and had developed a bone infection resulting in sepsis. She also tested positive for COVID-19.
It's just
In her
absolutely
stomach,
heartbreaking on so many levels.
it is. And her stomach contained foam matching that which the couch was constructed from, leading authorities to conclude that she had likely eaten the foam from the couch out of desperation. Now, authorities also believe that she had been deceased for at least 24 to 48 hours prior to the 911
And,
call.
like, do they think that, like, literal professionals won't figure that out? Like, we're like, "Oh, she's
Well,
just
and
not
that's the thing.
breathing." Like,
There's so much in this case where it's like I don't know if these people are just that delusional or what. Now, we don't know exactly when the last time was that Lacey left her parents' home or even the
okay.
couch, but the coroner did estimate that she had been sitting there in that same spot for up to 12 years.
Bless her heart.
12 years. Now, aside from the obvious scene from a horror movie going on in the living room, what's interesting is that the rest of the home was described as being kept quite neat and tidy. The area surrounding the couch where Lacey was found contained various personal care items such as a portable commode, if you guys are familiar with
Yes, I
those.
am.
talcum powder, nasal spray, and wipes, and even a box of DVDs, presumably, for Lacey to watch.
Sure.
Now, the question is, why and how in the hell did she come to sit there for 12 years? This was a healthy young woman. She struggled,
Right.
obviously, with some anxiety and some very mild developmental delays,
Hmm.
but she had gone to traditional school. She was verbal, mobile. How did she become stuck to the couch?
Right.
Now, there's some suspicion that Lacey was suffering from a condition called locked in syndrome. Locked in syndrome is a rare neurological disorder that causes total paralysis of all voluntary muscles except those that control movement in the eyes. People with this condition are awake and fully aware of what's going on around them, and they retain their ability to think and reason, but they simply cannot move or speak.
So she was like, theoretically, if this theory were correct, she would have been like catatonic, essentially.
Correct. Now, they also cannot chew or swallow.
Okay.
Some patients do retain the ability to blink and can communicate to some degree this way, but not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where many sources begin to question this theory is that, remember, Lacey had bits of foam from the couch in her stomach, suggesting that she was able to physically pick the foam out of the couch, put it in her mouth, and chew it and swallow it.
Sure.
Now, obviously, we are not medical professionals here on the pod. However, I did do a little bit of research on this disorder, and one source mentioned that there exists an incomplete form of locked in syndrome where one could potentially retain some level of sensation and motor function.
Okay.
But it's unclear to me whether that could consist of the ability to actually feed oneself. Regardless, what we do know here is on January 18th, 2022, 15 days after the horrific discovery of Lacey's body, her parents, Sheila and Clay, were interviewed by police. And the reasoning they gave for their daughter's horrific state is as follows. They begin by claiming that a year prior to all this, Lacey reaches a point where she refused to leave the living room. Now, we do know that Lacey suffered from some pretty severe social anxiety, so while extreme, I don't think that's completely implausible.
Right.
Now, initially, her parents say that they tried to accommodate this to the best of their ability by bringing her meals and supplying her a place to use the restroom, the portable commode that we talked about. However, eventually, Lacey became afraid to leave the couch and began relieving herself onto towels. They say that they considered having Lacey committed to a mental health facility, but Lacey wasn't happy with this. Ma'am, that's the point of having somebody committed.
Right.
They don't want to go, but they have to go, and that's why you have them committed. Now, they claim that Lacey had been treated by a physician in 2010, but hadn't been seen since because she had not been sick. Ma'am.
Like, she's glued to the couch physically.
And malnourished, and
Yeah.
has sepsis and
The list
COVID.
goes on and on and on.
Right. Thanks for backing me up on that one
Anytime.
there.
Glad to be the
We
voice
can all
of bare minimum reason.
God. So now it's unclear whether this doctor's visit took place during the period of her confinement to the living room or just before that. Sheila also claims that she routinely cleaned the sores on Lacey's body. Bullshit. And Lacey never complained of them bothering her. Her parents claim that she was of perfectly sound mind right up until her passing and was perfectly capable of making her own decisions.
Okay. Likely story,
Okay.
officer. Not
Lovely
bye.
story. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Now, they also claim that she had begun to eat less several months prior. And Sheila claims that she last saw her daughter alive at 10 p.m. on January 2nd. And the 911 call was placed in the early morning hours of January 3rd.
So
Now,
basically, she's a
remember, we
fucking
know that
liar.
she is a liar, correct,
Okay,
because autopsy determined that she had been deceased for 24 to 48 hours prior to the 911.
Which, again, do you not think, Sheila, that professional people who've been doing this for a very long time can see right through your bullshit? Okay?
No, apparently she
Stupid.
doesn't, because she's a stupid dumb bitch that doesn't know her ass from a hole in the ground.
0 stars for Sheila on my show.
Bad job doing your person job, Sheila. On May 2nd, 2022, a grand jury was convened, and after they saw hundreds of graphic images of the scene that was uncovered in the Fletcher's home back in January, Sheila and Clay were indicted on charges of second-degree murder. They were arrested and released 36 hours later, each on a $300,000 bond. It would also appear that both Sheila and Clay resigned from their jobs not long after their arrest, although there's not a lot of specific detail available on that. Well, yeah. I mean, what other fucking choice would you have, pillars of the goddamn community? Now get this. Their lawyer made a statement to the media that the family was asking for privacy as they did not wish to relive their pain of losing a child through the media.
Maybe they could have, bare minimum, not fucking killed her via neglect. I mean, that's an idea.
That would have been a great job making great choices. He also stated that Lacey did not suffer from locked-in syndrome, but rather was simply too lazy to get off the couch. Now, initially, the pair were set to stand trial on those charges in June of 2023. However, the indictment against them was thrown out due to a technicality. Thankfully, they were re-indicted on June 19th, 2023, and once again arrested and released on bail. Today, Sheila and Clay are still out on bail awaiting trial, and I couldn't find any date for that trial as of the time of this recording, but, you know, we will keep following this case and updating on our socials, and maybe later on down the line we'll do a part 2.
Absolutely.
But there's a lot we just don't know about this. But
right. And I think a lot of this will come out in the trial, which will make a good part 2 later, because I'm sure that everybody listening has as many unanswered questions as we do at this point.
Absolutely. But, I wanted to do this episode and start the conversation on this case. And, I think Lacey's story deserves to be told, and I think she deserves justice.
Absolutely.
And I hope these people fucking rot the way they let her rot, because
have the day you deserve.
Have the rest of the life you deserve, Sheila and Clay. Personally, I'm interested to see if, anybody can actually come up with a logical reason why she was on the couch for 12 years.
I mean, the answer, full stop, is going to be no, but I'm interested to see what they try to present and what the medical examiners have to say in more detail, because they'll only release so much to the public until this has gone to trial.
Sure. So that is unfortunately all we know about the case for right now. But like I said, we will keep you guys posted. This was a little bit of a shorter one, which I feel like, I don't know, maybe welcome after the hour and a half episode you guys got.
I was about to say, you guys got a monstrosity last week, so at least this is a little more condensed for you guys, and there will be more information to come. And what else do we have on the calendar coming up?
Yeah, we have a lot of stuff coming up. We have, let me just grab the calendar here real quick. We have,
I guess preceding this,
why am I all the way in January? Okay.
That I don't know.
Great. So, Following Crime Gita is coming out next for our Patreons.
Yes, and our Patreons are still getting a new episode of On Wednesdays We Wear Yellow Jackets every week. If you're interested as a public listener in listening to episode 1 of that installment series to see if it's something that you're interested in becoming a subscriber for, we did publish episode 1 last week so that you have the opportunity to sample it before starting an actual Patreon subscription. And you also still have the option for the free trial.
I was going to say, we do have a free trial, so you can sample all the things before you
really
subscribe.
can.
And then next week I'm going to be hosting 2 in a row since LJ did, her 3-part series on the cult. So next week, I will be bringing you guys the case of the Hart family murders, which is, you guys are going to see me get mad on that one. You guys are going to see me, if you guys were here, if you're OGs and you've been here since Madeline McCann and you saw me get mad on that episode.
She gonna be mad again.
You're going to see me get Madeline McCann mad. Maybe even madder. So, yeah, that's going to be a party. After that is an off-topic Tuesday for patrons.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be the for that one we're doing a blind read of subreddits from Am I the Asshole?
Is that what we're doing? We did that just this last week.
We just dropped that. Oh my god. Yeah. No, we're not. We should though. That was fun.
Do you know what? Do you know what I put? Do you know what I put on the calendar? Is our unserious run-ins with the law.
Oh, that's gonna be a good one. That's gonna be a good one. But you guys should check out the Patreon for the Reddit Am I the Asshole, because that was fun. I feel like we're gonna bring that back again.
Yeah, we have plans to do more of those in the future because we really had a fun time with that. But the next off-topic Tuesday after the Hart family, we'll be talking about our unserious run-ins with the law, which is also going to be pretty comical, I think.
It really is.
LJ and I are like really law-abiding citizens. We don't have criminal records.
We just have like awkward encounters.
Just really awkward encounters of like being in the wrong place at the wrong time, doing the wrong thing that we had to explain to authorities before we ruined our lives.
Think like minor traffic infractions, etc. But yeah, it's gonna be a good time. It's funny.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. So yeah. Oh, and LJ, our shirt thing. Do you want to tell people about the shirt thing?
So until November 1st, we are taking orders through Bonfire for a shirt that we made. It's exclusive to Bonfire. It's not available on our regular store, but actually the goal is that if we sell enough of these shirts, one, we want to upgrade our microphones, which we're really close to that goal, and two, we would like to bring back our full store. Right now we just have the limited Bonfire, but if we can get just a couple more Patreons and a couple of these shirts sold, then we'll be in business hopefully to bring back like the full store.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be a party
with like new designs. Yeah,
new designs. We're probably gonna, I don't know if we'll keep the tie-dye merch or maybe come up with something entirely new.
We might like keep it but then do like a separate collection too, is like the vibe I'm thinking. You know,
LJ's kind of the store person, so
yeah, that's kind of like Toe's the editing person and I'm like the merch person, you know?
We have separate strengths and that's why we thrive so hard.
Amen, sister.
Like, I don't even like when we launched the store the first time, LJ was like, look, I made us a store. And I was like, oh, great. How much did that cost?
What?
It was good time. Good times. But yeah. So that's all we have for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Not enjoyed it, but like, you know.
Didn't hate it.
Well, I mean, you might have hated it too, but we hope you come back for more.
Hope you didn't hate us. Hate the story, not the teller. Am I right?
Yeah, don't shoot the messenger, guys. All right, sickos. We will see you next week. Toodaloo.
Bye.